motto. What is exploration? Or maybe what is successful exploration? Based on my experience, I would say that being successful within exploration, there's three parts that needs to be aligned. The first part is what I call the property. Having the good property is of real high importance, of course. But it's not only the right geology and right type of mineralization, the alteration, structures, and that kind of in part of this property. It is also a bit what is above the bedrock. So the overburden thickness, for example, swamps, dry land. What about the terrain type? How does that affect exploration? Access, possible restrictions, and of course all the historical data. Is that so? All of this is part of the property. The other P is what I call the processes. And with the process, I mean, for example, when the field geos or the field technicians are out there in the field, doing mapping, collecting data, but it's not only about, and what it is about what happens with the data being collected afterwards. What is the process? How is it QA/QC'd? Well, first of all, how is it collected? How is it QA/QC'd? How is it put into the database? What is the structure in the database? And from there, moving on to the visualization in GIS or in the 3D environment. What is the data process there? Drilling data, field data, and so on. What is the process? That is part of this. But not only that, it is also part of the whole permitting process, for example, landowner communication, stakeholder engagement, health and safety is a big part of the process. The whole administrative workflow is part of the process. The third leg is the people. And with people, I'm not only referring to the junior geos or the expert geologists being out there in the field, but it's also about the operative and the management and how is the project structured, who are the people making the decisions, taking the calls, that is streamlined, and the people have who make the decisions have the correct information about the property and the process, so everything can be put in the proper timeline. Really important as well within this people part is, of course, the financing people, and the public relations and HR and administrative people. Because as I see it, if you, for example, let's start, if you have really good property and you have the people in place and the processes are your weakest point, well, you got good ground, you got good execution, but poor treatment of the data, for example. So you're collecting the wrong data, you're collecting them maybe because you haven't yet structured your operations in a way that you're collecting the right type of information, as an example. So the processes are of importance that way. Let's take then let's say that the people is your weakest point, so to say, but your property is really good and also the processes are in place. So basically you will have an ethical and responsible exploration, but you're lacking execution because you maybe have people who's taking the calls, or you don't have the right type of field people and so on. So you have basically you will not make any discoveries or have value destruction. And finally then, if you have the property is your weakest point, but you're really strong on the processes and the people, well, you've got a great team and probably quite a good reputation, but you're not making discoveries because the property, and as I said, not only geology, but also what's above the bedrock surface, is restricting you for conducting exploration work. so you will generate more moderate results. And this, of course, depends a lot on the company. Is it a small junior, is it a major, and so on. So it is not one for one, but it's depends on the company size. But I think all the three P's, the property, the process, and the people, needs anyhow to be in line. So the key is, of course, then to be here in the middle, finding a balance between all these three. And that way, I think you can generate long-term success, having an impact. You will have predictable and consistent creation of value for the shareholders, and you will be generating news flow because you're having access to the ground, the process in place, and you have the right people who can use that results moving your company forward. So it is about understanding your own strengths and weaknesses. And this is what I see is the three pillars for being a successful exploration company. Moi moi.